Oh, yeah. And we are live with another broadcast in the Roofing on the Rise studio. We are sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated in the Houston marketplace, where you can get your shingles from me. Also, we are sponsored by West Group Public Adjusting. West Group Public Adjusting is an awesome PA firm here in the Houston marketplace that services nationwide. They will take care of just about everything for you. So you need anything claim wise, and they have got you covered. And today we have an amazing guest, Nathan Schuh. Did I pronounce that right?
Just like what you're wearing on your foot. Schuh.
Schuh. All right. So I slaughtered it.
That's all right. Everybody does.
How are you doing today, bro?
Good, man. Ready to start the day off with you.
Dude, I'm super excited that you're on today. We had a conversation earlier this week, quite a lengthy conversation.
That was awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm stoked. I know that this will be a good broadcast for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Good and educational, definitely for our masses.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you guys are following along, we are in season 2 of Roofing on the Rise. We're doing a little bit of a different twist with season 2. Today, you'll notice that we do not have the banner hanging up there with our sponsors, but we will figure that out for in-person interviews, because I think it's very important to have it up there.
Yeah.
We just got it up there, and now, so, in person is definitely different, and I wasn't planned or prepared for that. So pretty interesting. If you guys are out there and you're wondering, what is this guy doing? I want to put some things to bed real quick before we jump into the coding portion of this podcast, and let you guys know that I work for Roofing Supply Incorporated here in the Houston marketplace. We provide awesome quality shingles to roofing contractors in our market. And we partner with our contractors in a different way, right? So we have this podcast. We'd love to bring on contractors like yourself, Nathan, so that we could bring a competitive edge as well as educate the market. And then as well as bring in industry A-listing, quote unquote, influencers, celebrities, and or sales coaches, trainers. Like, it's really important that we hear from people that are doing in the industry and not just saying, right? And so that's what I'm doing here. But it's more of an onion. So I do a lot of video, a lot of content. I'm a little backed up. This weekend, I'm going to be working on about 4 videos, taking a lot of time to work on some videos this weekend. And you guys are going to see some really awesome stuff coming up here very, very soon. So let's jump in. I know you guys probably noticed I have a couple of cups sitting right here. Red Solo cups. Which one is the real Solo cup, right? This one's actually the real Solo cup. It's got Dr. Pepper in it. I know you guys are like really telling me to get off the Dr. Pepper because I'm working out really hardcore right now, right? But I needed something after last night. It was freaking nuts. So this is our new Roofing Supply Incorporated Red Solo cup. And this thing is a tumbler. It is an awesome cup to keep everything cool. And today I have my coffee in here, so I will no longer drink Dr. Pepper. I'll keep it classy here on Roofing on the Rise.
Classy with a K.
So Nathan, man, we've gone in great detail about your career, but not everyone knows about you and about your company or where you came from, right? So I really want to get into that. This episode is more based on the success and what it took to get into that success, right? And so let's jump into that. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came into roofing.
Okay. So I graduated from a small business school in Dallas called Northwood, where they focused 99% onto entrepreneurship in different industries across the board. I left there and with an entertainment and sports degree was trying to focus on the more entertainment side of things. I worked for a company out of Atlanta called Feld, and they owned Ringling Brothers at the time. So I did a lot of in market promoting and organizing shows on that aspect. So I was getting a lot of background on how to promote different things. So I took that, decided that being on the road all the time and being gone out of a city that I didn't know really wasn't for me. And I'm a Texas boy through and through. Brought my butt back to Houston, lived here for a little bit, and then I started chasing down seasons. I worked in Keystone, Colorado, running a ticket office up there at the resort, and then during the summers, I was coming back to Houston or back to Texas, and running a rental fleet of boats in Canyon Lake.
Huh. Canyon's
So,
nice.
oh, it's beautiful
I
out there,
freaking
and
love Canyon Lake.
it was one of those that I was like, I'm still a Texas boy, so I need to get my Texas fill every year. But
Yeah.
I was chasing the snow at that point, and I think the
Yeah.
first year I got like 120 days on the mountain or something like that.
Okay.
So it was pretty extensive the amount of snow time that I got. Did that for a while and realized that ultimately at the end of the day, it just wasn't going to pay the bills on the long term. So growing up in an oil field industry, my dad was still in the industry. I hit him up and, hey man, can you get me on a rig? So he was able to make a couple connections for me, a couple calls, and within about a week of that, I was down in South Texas working on the rigs as a roughneck. Worked my way up through there to a couple different positions while I was in the field, and then I was presented an opportunity to go work in directional drilling.
Mm.
I roughnecked for about 4.5 years, and then I did directional drilling stuff for about 6 years. And while I was out there, I was working as a measurement while drilling operator, basically acting as a GPS for the directional driller as he was going from vertical to horizontal to be able to drill out the wells.
Mm.
So
Wow.
while I
I
was
never
there,
even
though,
thought that was possible. I thought they just drilled straight down.
well, and originally that's how it was. And let's 60s and 70s time period, they hadn't really developed. They were starting to, but they hadn't really got into it yet. So most of the wells in Texas up until that point were just straight vertical. And they had developed this technology to allow more barrels per well to come out of the well by drilling out horizontally. And that's when fracking came into play more.
Okay,
So
I
we're
gotcha.
able to frack the well and allow for more hydrocarbons to come into the well and go up to surface.
Yeah, obviously I know jack about this, right? Like, I think the bet this is probably the most informative that I've heard of anything in this nature with oil. I think the next closest to that would be the Houston Museum of Natural Science.
And that one is awesome.
It is
That
amazing.
the remake of the museum there, when I first went in there after they had done it, blew my freaking mind.
Bro,
I
it's
couldn't
insane.
believe the things that they had done from you said the other day you've been here for about 4 years,
Yeah.
so you're only seeing it in its new setup.
Yep.
The setup that it was previous, the only thing that I think is the same still in the museum is the mineral area,
Really?
which is that rock exhibit
Yeah.
is probably the best that I've ever seen across the board in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
It's if I go down to the museum, that's the first exhibit I go see. I got to do my walkthrough there before I go see anything else. But on your point, though, the oil field exhibit is so spot on
Yeah.
across the board between the mock-up of the rig floor to the different tech that they're using in it.
They've
And
got like this virtual reality man, what is it called? The kids got into it. It's like I turned around and for like 2 seconds, dude, and they were gone inside this like thing. It looks like a spaceship.
mhm,
And like they close the door and for 15 minutes, it's like they went down into the earth so they
mhm,
could see it. I
yeah,
really um I I'm gonna go to that next time. But
it's
anyway.
worth it. It's so stupid cool.
Yeah.
It's impressive. And I mean, Houston is, in my mind, it is the mecca of oil field for the world. There
Yeah.
isn't a
Well,
major corporation that is not in Houston
yeah.
when it comes to oil and gas. I mean, most of them
Yeah.
have their headquarters here.
Right. Yeah.
Short of maybe
I was gonna say
Dubai.
Dubai. Yeah, I was gonna say Dubai.
But the crazy thing with Dubai is that would be the second that's like the satellite
Yeah,
location to where all these oil field companies can have a base there,
yeah.
whereas they're still running ops from
I know quite a
Houston.
few people in the oil field industry.
Well, it's so vast in Houston that it's hard not to find somebody in that.
It is a lot of old oil field money here.
Yeah.
The old oil field tycoons
Mhm.
that built things from the ground up. What I find is really awesome about Houston is a lot of the patent technology for some of these rigs was made by people here,
Mhm.
um, and ideas inside of their garage.
Mhm.
Right? They're as normal as me and you,
Yep.
um, but they're richer. They're much richer than us
By a
now
long shot.
by a long shot. These people, what I just there's something about Houston that is like the land of opportunity. I feel like it's another, um, it's like it's almost like the original 13 colonies. When they came to Plymouth, I feel like Houston is almost like Plymouth.
Well, and we talked about this the other
That's a big accusation to make, by the way.
we were talking about this the other day with the food scene in Houston.
Oh,
The food scene in Houston, I would say, probably rivals New York at the end of the day, and it's mainly because we are such a melting pot
yeah,
in Houston that and I personally think that we're a melting pot because of the oil and gas industry being in Houston, that they brought so many
yeah,
people in from so many different parts of the world that I mean, heck, there's
yes,
there's a community in the Woodlands that are all from the UK that I would imagine that that number is in excess of probably 1,000 plus, if not more, of people that are in the Woodlands, not Houston, but just the Woodlands that are from overseas because of oil and gas.
that's nuts.
So,
And we were talking about the Woodlands last night at the H bar in the Post Oak.
mhm,
Um, a big shout out to all the boys that were out last night. I'm not gonna
sounded like you guys had a heck of a time.
I don't drink, so I feel great. But I know my boys are not feeling it this morning. But
Gotta get
anyway,
that
we were
caffeine.
talking about the Woodlands is kind of funny. You know, people that have lived in the inner city and moved to the Woodlands, they're they're used to the inner city, and so it it's almost like what I heard last night was it's too quiet. It's so quiet. I had to get out and come down here because I needed some excitement.
Mhm,
And obviously, he hasn't hit Blend or Market Street a lot,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Um, so we connected pretty well to the point where we're gonna set up in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna set something up at Blend and then a
Awesome.
private party at his house.
Yep.
He moved out onto the lake in the woodland. So pretty excited to to be able to do that. And the connections that you can make by uh, just walking into a room with someone that
A
is a
mover and a
socialite
shaker.
or a mover and a shaker. It's absolutely insane. So I want to give a big shout out to yeah, someone that's becoming a very, very, very close friend of mine, JT Torres. Big shout out to JT. Want to appreciate your friendship as well as the business relationship that we have. He's definitely an awesome partner to have with whereas it comes to distribution, right? His company is amazing, but also we've had the opportunity through JT's company, Cornerstone Cowboys, and through the Greater Houston Roofing chapter with Chris Katalchak. Big shout out to Chris Katalchak. They're doing some amazing things at that company. Um, Being able to walk into the room with those people and go into another room with them. So we went to their office and then from their office went to an event. And that the charisma, the energy that's taken from one place to another is absolutely insane. And it's just so complimentary. It's awesome to be able to like I was done with this industry I mean, I am absolutely saddened with the shit that I seen on Facebook yesterday. Um, I'm friends with both of the people that were going at each other's throats yesterday. And I don't see it beneficial to the industry to tear each other down.
That does nothing to help anybody at the end of the
And I'm
day.
not like
We're all in this
both of
together.
you, both of you guys know what you did, and I think that you could have went about it in a different way. And I'm not going to say your names, but you know who you are. And I just I'm going to pray for you guys because I feel like you guys were both going through something yesterday, and that's why you reacted in the way in which that you did.
I think that's a big problem that we're seeing these days with social media in general is that
Yeah.
it's a direct form for anybody to say whatever the hell they want to say. And at the end of the day, there needs to be a filter
Yeah.
because it's a lot of times people aren't going to stop and think about what they're saying. They're going to be reactionary and maybe they don't like a post. So they're going to immediately get into that post and then they're going to start ripping somebody apart and they're not thinking about what the aftermath of that may actually be or what I mean,
I
hell.
equate it as stones into a very thin ice covered ice of a lake. Okay.
Mhm,
Right. I'm talking very thin ice.
yeah,
Right. And these stones are not being dropped from like, 30 feet above off of a platform. They're being thrown with catapults. Okay.
yep.
And so when they come down, it shatters. And when that shatter happens, that's an effect.
It's a spider effect that's just gonna spider web out.
And then another one hits and it spiders. And if you guys would really, really stop and think about it, this is extremely true about what you say and what you do on your social profiles. Um, I I didn't really quite grasp it until quite recently, within the last quarter. Um, and I said something about a cricket. Um, I was like, man, I'm not even gonna say it for fear of being canceled, but I was just like, man, I'd have to throw the whole thing away, right? Talking about the casa. And so the algorithm didn't like that. It broke community guidelines and I got a ding on my account. I almost got suspended completely from Facebook. And that's just a small that's just a small thing. That's disciplinary action. That is not ripple effect for people, right? So, do I think that with that post or that comment on that post that somebody was hurt? Absolutely not. Because we were all joking around, right? We weren't joking around about somebody. We were joking around about this weird alien like cricket that was walking around in their house, you know? Um, Plenty of us have done it, right?
Mhm.
But plenty of us have also seen a post and we were so enraged that we decided to take an hour, sometimes two, to sit there and why? Pride. That's it. Because you feel your response is going to merit more. And ultimately, that response, that non calculated, probably misplaced, that comment will then just absolutely sometimes ruin people's credibility as well as their credibility in their business.
Yep.
Um, this stuff is more, I think, is more important than a lot of people understand. They like you use it for you use Facebook for business, right?
I am fighting the urge to do so. I generally try to keep all of my business stuff to LinkedIn for the most part. I isolate. I don't use
That's good.
Instagram
That's
at
good.
I prefer it that way, and I wanted to keep it to where originally Instagram and my Facebook accounts were my personal accounts. It's where I communicate with family members. Both my parents are from huge families, so I have a ton of cousins and aunts and uncles that I keep my communication to my close friends and family on Facebook, but I'm coming to realize, especially since opening the doors in March, that that's not the reality that we live in anymore.
Right.
So now, like, I've gone through my Facebook account and made sure that I removed anything that could be perceived as, I hate to say it this way, offensive because of the
Right.
world that we live in.
Yeah.
Whether it's, and for the most part, it may have been a political post or a religious post or
Right.
something like that. But I feel like I'm having to censor myself on the basis of professionalism because I don't want to offend anybody. I want to look at everybody. If I'm going to use it as a business platform, everybody is my potential client.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that I'm not offending anybody in that basis. But on the flip side of that, it pisses me off to no end. I hate the fact that we have gotten to such a point now in our world. And at the end of the day, I feel like social media, it may not be the root of all evil, but it ain't freaking far from it.
Yeah.
And it causes, I think, a lot more problems. I mean, look at our youth. They may not be using Facebook anymore. That's a generational thing, but they're
Right.
all over Snapchat and they're on it all the time. I've got nieces and nephews that don't text their friends. They get on Snapchat and use Snapchat as their messaging platform. I don't
I
comprehend
don't
it,
understand.
but
Well, I mean, 2 years ago, I was big on Snapchat, like super, super big on Snapchat,
mhm,
almost like Facebook.
okay,
Stories,
sure.
all that stuff, posts, because I have a public page.
Mhm,
Um, I was just thinking about that because my wife was like, she's, did you check your Snapchat? No, I have not. Right. And this is, I may have said that a little sarcastically, honey. I apologize, but no, I have not looked at the face or at the Snapchat because I'm focusing on Facebook,
mhm,
Instagram,
mhm.
YouTube, and I cannot understand Twitter. I still cannot understand Twitter, so
I
I'm still trying to figure that out.
The only
I'll
reason why
post every now and then,
I've
but
seen a couple people that I follow on Twitter, but it's really just to watch their 15, 20-minute dialogue that they may put up
yeah,
occasionally type deal, but that's about it
I
where I
feel
draw
it's
the
more
line.
political,
Yeah.
and I that's why I should get into it. I feel that's why I should get into it. I hang out with a lot of people that are in
Mhm,
politics.
mhm.
So, big shout out to Ivan Sanchez. Thank you for coming out last night to the Aspire to Win. That was an awesome thing last night. Um,
Sounded like it was a good silent auction from what you were telling me.
yeah, I got outbid. I was really trying to get some brownie points, dude. I was trying to get this massage, and like there was something else too. And I got outbid with that too. It was like, oh, personal trainer
Oh,
for the day, right?
nice.
Um, I could use that. Got some
I think we
belly
all could. I'm
got some
feeling you
belly
too.
fat I'm trying to get rid of right now. Um, but I the premise of that entire thing was to be able to raise money to help felons, men that have been in for 10, 15 years. Because when they come out, it's a completely different world. Literally from reading newspapers to having a cell phone, a computer in their hand,
Mhm.
and they they couldn't even afford a computer before. That's why they went out and they did what they did or whatever, right? I'm not going to speak for everyone. But this program is reentry into the world. And big shout out to everybody at Aspire to Win. That was an amazing, amazing event last night. But Ivan, thank you for coming by. Ivan presented something from Houston Millennials, and an award to Rosie for her accomplishments and helping out in the community. It was awesome. But anyhow, let's get back to business. We've talked about Houston, but it's where we live,
Yeah.
right? This is our stomping ground.
Mhm.
So your company is a coding company,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So explain to me the name of your business and why you came into business.
So the name of the company is the Coding Pros, and I have seen a lot of roofs in Houston that the property owners are getting told or the contractor is getting looked at and having the impression that the only option that they have is a full tear off.
Yeah.
And I would say that majority of the time, these roofs don't need to be torn off. The substrate's not soaked. There's no trapped moisture. So there's not really any reason to do a full tear off. Uh, I've only been on one project where there was not an option to do a coating. The substrate was so trapped
Yeah.
with so much moisture that the liquid applied would be completely destroyed. So at the end of the day, it comes down to a thing of there's a handful of advantages to a coating. It's cheaper to start with immediately out the gate. It's cheaper than a tear off. There's no permitting required because it's considered a restoration, not a replacement. And there's so many aspects of it that fall under the Green Act, from not having the landfill aspect of in a full tear off. There's tons of waste on the
Mm.
roof, whether we're talking about a mod bid, a TPO, or a metal, it doesn't matter. So you have a lot of things in that aspect that are helping the environment, or the fact that the customer can write it off in the first 12 months entirely, full write offs right out the gate. Or there's energy companies that will come in and they will audit the property before a
Is
roof
that
is done.
Title 18?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe it is. Um, so with the rebates too, energy companies are offering rebates now to property owners if they have this done. They'll come in and audit the property
Huh.
before and audit it afterwards
Do
and
they have
offer
to have
that
a
up.
certain product for that?
It's any coatings from what I understand. It doesn't matter the manufacturer at the end of the day.
What's your
It
go-to for manufacturers?
I like Tropical a lot. Everest is a great product too.
Okay.
I
Big shout
like
out to Tropical TRP Products.
they're
Love those
awesome.
guys.
John Grotti is killing it for the Houston market when it comes down
Big
to.
shout out, John.
Thanks, John, for all the help. Another big one for Houston is IPC with Darren Cook.
Oh,
And
bro.
Darren is salt of the earth.
Huge. IPC is huge.
Oh, and they're great. And their acrylic products are,
IPC is actually spec'd on a lot of
yeah,
jobs. Millis actually does a lot of them.
yeah.
A
Um,
lot, a lot of.
they're a great product. I've had the opportunity to work with Darren on a couple different projects where we've quoted out projects together. Um, I'm the type of guy that I'm not married to any one manufacturer. As far as my company goes, I'm happy to work with any manufacturer at the end of the
Or
day,
distributor.
or distributor for
or
that
from
matter.
what I've heard.
I mean, I just want to go where the money's at.
That's what I'm talking about,
I'm just
baby.
trying to make some money these days, bud,
Yes.
in our market. And one of the biggest things that I'm trying to counteract in our market is we've had some manufacturers a decade ago come into market and they didn't really vet their installers. They just were giving out the certification to be a installer without actually having any training behind that.
Mm.
And I'm now seeing a lot of projects that were done at that time period that are failing now, and they're not meeting their quote unquote warranty specs that they were giving. That's what I'm trying to counteract, because a lot of those projects were done as if it was just painting a roof. And albeit on the basis of it, it is similar to that, but there are so many technical nuances to a proper install that it's not just painting a roof. That's the biggest thing that we've heard. I've heard horror stories from contractors like, "Oh yeah, I had this guy that said he can do an install and he goes out to this project and it was out in Shreveport or something, like Shreveport or Lake Charles, doesn't matter, but they were coming home from the project. They were already halfway back to Houston. Contractor's talking to the installer and he's like, "Well, how did it go?" "Oh, it went fine, whatever, but we ended up with like 30 barrels left out of 60. The roof's white."
What?
So that's where the problem is that we've got these installers that aren't given the proper training.
That's it. That's it right there.
And I mean, I've been asked recently by a handful
It's
of
the
contractors.
it's the owner, or the owner and a manager.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll give you the owner, the manager, and the sub.
Maybe.
But the entire crew, maybe.
There's a strong maybe
That is a
there.
strong
Yeah.
maybe. But then the rest of them don't know
They don't have a
jack
clue.
diddly shit
They don't have a
about
clue.
what's going on the roof.
The owners aren't staying around the
The
project.
safety of dealing with these products, the safety of dealing with the pressurized water on the roof.
Yep.
I swear to God, if I come to a coating, which I'm sure I will after this, and there is someone on the roof without a harness on, and you've got a water hose in your hand, I'll call OSHA because I'm tired of seeing people die.
Yeah,
And it happens in our city.
big time.
And if they're not falling off and losing their life, they're losing limbs and or breaking shit,
Yep.
and they cannot, I'm talking breaking bones, not
Yep.
breaking property.
Yeah.
And they have families
Yep.
just like we do, right? Um, I'm speaking from experience, from going to job site and seeing this. I'm not going to say who it was. You know who you are, right? You did what I'm really, really pleased with is that they changed it immediately and made sure that safety meetings were happening on the job site and things changed.
So you touching on that is back to the background, right? One of the biggest things that I'm bringing to the industry on my end of things is the safety aspects from oil and gas. Every
Oh
morning we have a
yeah.
JSA, which is a job safety analysis every
Loved
morning
it.
to where my crew is all signing off on it. And actually, I have my guys, each one individually every day. They change out who fills out the JSA while we're at our tailgate meeting. And it does a couple things for us. A, it goes over to the safety hazards that we're looking at for that day. But the other thing is it puts us all on the same page for what is our goal for today? What are we trying? How much are we trying to accomplish? And then what can we do to mitigate the safety hazards? One of the things that my guys have gotten really good with, and when we're running machines, we always have somebody on the ground monitoring our machines, but that person is also the safety liaison for the ladder. If you walk
Uh,
up on my location, you are not allowed on my roof until you sign that sheet and you go through the JSA. I'm covering my
nice.
ass. It's a CYA thing ultimately at the end of the day, but I want that person that's walking up on my roof
Yeah.
to be aware of those same safety hazards, because just because you may be not putting material or tools in your hands, you're still exposed to those same safety
Touching my
issues.
ladder. You're on
I
my
mean,
job site.
you're on my job site, you're on my ladder. Heaven forbid that ladder collapses on you for whatever reason, or
Right.
the wind blows it over because they didn't tie it off right. There's so many different variables that you can look at, but heaven forbid something happens to that person that gets on that ladder at that point in time, and now it becomes a safety issue, and now they've fallen, and now I got to take somebody.
And a liability issue.
Exactly. It's all a CYA.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's how can I cover my ass and protect my guys, myself, and my company at the end of the day. And I, just like oil field, we want to make sure that everybody goes home with 10 toes and 10 fingers. I do that at the end of every day too. We have a closing meeting as well at the end of the day. Or say we take a break at lunch and we're off the roof for more than half an hour. We regroup and do another safety check at lunch.
That's important.
How much do we get done in the morning, guys? What are we looking at this afternoon? What are the safety risks this afternoon? Right now in Houston, 110 degrees on the
Hot.
roof. That puts the
Hot.
roof at probably 150 to 160, if not higher. That's melting shoes, bro. So
Good
there's a lot of
Lord.
aspects with that. Hey guys, are you drinking enough water? How much water did you drink? Most of my guys all carry around a gallon jug with them on the roof. And then I have 2 5 gallons that I normally keep on the ground. I want to make sure that they're going through that gallon. How much
Yeah.
water did you drink? Did you drink a gallon yet? No? To the water jug right now.
Yeah.
You need to go fill that up. I'm gonna watch you. Or
Yeah.
the other one is, what color is your pee?
Yeah.
Is it clear? No, it's bright orange. All right, you need to come down and sit in the truck.
Yeah.
I need to see you drink water before you go back on the roof.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
dangerous, man.
it's
This
super
this heat
dangerous.
is it's not to be trifled with.
No,
I feel for the shingle installers right now. Um,
that's brutal.
it is beyond brutal. Um, I installed SBS shingles for quite some time, and we had to stop roofing at like noon until 2, 3, sometimes 4 o'clock in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we put roofers up on that shingle, they would scar the shingle to hell. It didn't matter if they were wearing um, cougar paws or what. It doesn't matter. They were tearing it up. Um, but I just feel like this year is hotter than any other year that we have had. Like,
I think it's hotter earlier is what it's coming down to.
That's what yeah,
I mean,
because it's
normally
like it is just hot for fucking no
we'll see
reason.
the temps in August, but
Yeah,
that's
but
end of
this is
summer.
right. This is consistent. This is a beginning of summer. Like before we even had official day of summer, we were at triple digits.
Hmm.
It is sultry hot, and I wear a freaking sports jacket,
And we were talking about that earlier.
fucking
It still
everywhere,
blows my
bro.
mind. I'd be losing it. I'd ruin that jacket. I
I
couldn't
am
be.
in shorts today, baby. I am not. You can't see it from the chest down, but it is amazingly breezy. Um, man, I've been wearing pants for the last 4 days, dude, and it is just ridiculous,
Yeah, I
bro.
can't do it.
It is hot. It is sticky. It's muggy. It's nasty.
I've
Like
get,
I said, I can't do. Like I cannot imagine being on a shingled roof right now, especially a steep shingled roof that has a lot of penetrations and a lot of detail. I mean, I my hats off to the industry professionals that are out there taking care of their families and taking care of everyone else's family by helping out and putting on those roofs.
so
You guys are the real MVPs.
you're talking about these temps. This is a good point to go back to a coding aspect.
Coding, ladies and gentlemen.
Most of the time, I have seen at least a 30-degree temperature drop between pre-coat versus post-coating. And that directly translates to anywhere between 5 and 10 degrees interior temps. So as far as saving energy, and that's why those rebates are able to be offered, is because the temp internal to the building is being dropped exponentially. And it doesn't matter what surface you're on a commercial roof. I've seen anywhere from 178 degrees to about 168 degrees, somewhere in that range. And they're dropping 30, 40, 50 degrees in some cases. I did a metal roof a couple months ago that when we shot it originally, it was reading 133 degrees. And when we got done doing the coating and shot it again, 103.
Really?
So the temperature savings is exponential.
133 degrees. I'm wrapping my head around the buck 50 that you said earlier. Like you can fry eggs. You
Done it.
can literally
We've
fry
done it on a
eggs.
clean metal.
Have you?
Yeah, on a clean metal.
That's nuts. I've seen, on, I mean, you see this stuff on TV in Australia, right? Where they crack the egg and they put it on the sidewalk, and it freaking grills on the sidewalk.
Oh, dude, you could do that on the hood of your truck right now.
I mean,
At this point in the day, almost getting towards noon,
yeah.
it's definitely hot enough already that you could probably cook an egg on the hood of your truck.
I can't even think about eggs right now. No. I had a bad egg at Blend.
Really?
I sure did, and it screwed me up for a day and a half.
Oh,
And then
no.
Jamie had something bad um the next day. Yeah, I mean, I've been at Blend every day this week except for yesterday.
I mean, that food that we had when we were there
It's
was
amazing.
absolutely amazing. The
But
fish and chips was killer, and that
I had we had chicken. Both of us, or you had fish
I had the
and I
fish
had
and
chicken.
that chicken and waffles looked
Chicken and
stupid
waffles,
good.
baby. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
man.
That reminds me of Shrek, dude. In the morning, I'm making waffles. That is absolutely my thing, man. I love Shrek. And I was my little toddler, dude. He is something else. I mean, absolutely something else. He woke up in the middle of the night last night, and the stuff that he said was just so cute. It was absolutely cute. Stop. No, I'm mommy's baby. I'm like,
Oh, there it is.
all right, bro. All right.
I
Yeah.
thought we were supposed to be little homies here.
Oh
What's
man,
up, bro?
yeah. I was like, and I've been like going the distance because he's been wanting to lay on like in a pallet on the floor next to us, which I don't see a problem with, but like there's something in my mind that's just like he shouldn't be on the floor. And so I keep on asking my wife to bring him into bed, and now I'm like, go back. You're mama's baby. Big shout out to my wife. She is an amazing, amazing woman. Helps out more than anything. I could not do what I do without my wife. Like she is the glue to the OSB of my life.
I got you.
That's a really
I
good way to
got you.
put it.
That was way to slide that little roofing term up in there.
Yeah,
I got you.
baby,
I
I
got
like
you.
it.
I
So
got you.
roof coatings and I believe that roof coatings has really been taking a bigger market share here recently. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'd say anywhere between 5 and 15%, at least in our market share, has been
Easily.
more.
I think when we saw the downturn on accessibility to materials, specifically TPO,
Yeah.
that property owners and contractors alike were finding that the price point was astronomical, but the fact that they couldn't get access to material in some cases 6 months plus, can't go tell a business owner or
Let's
property.
talk about that. We've had storms across the nation. I hope everyone understands we will have another shortage.
Oh,
This one's going to be worse.
oh, for sure.
Our storm, when we had the material shortage during COVID, I don't think that the COVID material shortage is going to be as bad as this one. I
You
think
think it's
it's
gonna be worse?
I think it's going to be worse. I
Is
think
that gonna be more based on storms coming
I think
through?
yeah, I think it has to do with the volume because we've got a influx of insurance claims, and you got to think about the amount of people that are just like, you know what? Because there's a lot of them that are like, you know what? I'm just not dealing with insurance. I'm just not going to do it.
I'm gonna just
Why?
pay cash and get it done.
I'm just going to pay cash and get it done because I'm going to have to wait for 6 to 12 months to get it done. And there's a lot of those, right? So roofers out there, especially in my marketplace, pay attention. You're going to have a material shortage. You're going to have two options. It's going to be black or weatherwood. And more than likely, you're going to have one option out of those two, and that's going to be weatherwood. So get ready to start selling weatherwood because we are, and it's not right now. I'm just saying get ready because in the next 6 to 12 months, we're not going to be able to get colors. They're going to be making, and we talked about this in our sales meeting a week ago at RSI. Big shout out to Jeff Schmeckel and Darren Bro for really breaking this down for everyone to really understand that there's not enough hands to make all the colors
Oh, for sure.
for all the demand that's going out right now. And then you add the increase into the demand, they're going to reduce the color amount and only run certain colors. So it'll probably be only one or two. And here, Darren, big shout out to Darren Bro for busting this down even further. It's like, okay, so think about this. You've got a line, a production line, right? And what goes on that shingle? Granules. All right. Okay. So those granules are poured into a hopper. Okay. Those granule colors are different with every shingle.
Mhm.
So think about having to change all of that out just to start a new shingle color line, just to start another new shingle color, just to start a new. How many manufacturers do we have?
Not
Right.
that many.
And so in Texas, I'm just thinking about this. Like in Texas, the manufacturer mountains, we got a lot in this area, right? Like 3 different manufacturers, I believe, over there. Two for sure, ICO and Owens Corning. I think GAF has one as well over there. And those, I know those companies, and we do a lot of business with those companies. Um, those those companies have multiple lines, every single one of them, right? Let's take Owens Corning. They have a duration line, right? That's their upgraded shingle. And then underneath that, they have Oak Ridge, right? And then underneath that, they've got the 25-year. I don't even know because I didn't sell that. I didn't sell that stuff. I'll sell 25-year shingles. Trash. Um, think about each one of those lines, and then each one of those lines has like 25 different colors. It's not gonna happen. It's not. Be realistic. Be realistic with your suppliers, your distributors. Be realistic with them. When we run into this issue, just remember that we had this conversation, right? I feel that it is very important that everybody see that before it actually happens. Like we're telling you, we're giving you the warning. It's coming. And I mean, that means there's going to be an increase on shingles, a large one.
Well, so on the commercial side of things, what I was seeing on the last downturn was that TPO issue started becoming an issue
It
where
is.
people couldn't find the TPO, and if they
The
could,
ISO,
it would be you could find TPO, but you couldn't get ISO
right?
or you couldn't get fasteners, and then you were having to jump around between different
Yep.
distribution to find that stuff. If you could find it, you might be able to find one, but you can find something for another 6 months.
Yep.
So it's not going to be a color issue necessarily on commercial products. It's going to be just the accessibility to the products in general.
Oh, of
So
course.
so then they're not going to be able to go find that. Now they're going to be telling 6 months out, and the materials could be sitting in the Gulf in a boat, but they can't come in to dock, you know.
So for
But so with that said though, during that time period, the turnaround time on coatings increased. Right now, we're looking at for a large project, we're probably 7 to 10 days out on
yeah,
acquisition of materials. At that point in time, it was more like 14 days to 3 weeks or so.
yeah,
So it was still accessible. It wasn't the 6 months out, and that I think is why we saw that
yeah.
increase on coatings across the board. It doesn't matter what manufacturer it is.
Nope.
They were able to still meet the demands of the client and the customer at the end of the day. So,
I think there's going to be a large shift to coatings.
well, I mean, Houston is like first or second in the US for metal buildings across the board. There isn't a better product to resurface or to rehab a metal roof than a coating. The only time that it can't be done is if it's so rusted that you wouldn't walk on it.
You can do asphaltic too.
Yeah, you definitely could go that direction as well.
I mean, my mind goes to these buildings downtown and uptown, um, high rises,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Where you got like 50 squares or whatever of TPO or
Hmm.
40 squares or whatever the
Hmm.
hell it is. A lot of them more than that. But anyway, um, what are you going to do? You're going to rip that thing down
No,
to the deck?
no.
I mean, the reality of it is there's a lot into that. And then you've got, all these other factors for safety, breathability, what happens if, and trash, and what happens if with the trash, and like there's just so much that goes with that.
There's no business
And you
shutdown.
can get like one exactly no business shutdown. You have one piece of equipment that you're really going to have to need for something of that stature, and that's a crane. And so you get your crane up there and you're freaking golden,
Well,
baby.
in a lot of cases, you don't even need a crane.
If you have a service elevator.
As long as you have a service elevator, and in that case, what we're looking at, there's so many different types.
Tillman has service elevators.
Oh yeah. He definitely has some service elevators. And most of these big large size high rises all have service elevators. And there's a variety of different ways to get stuff done on those without having to even use machines. It can be hand rolled. If you don't want to go hand rolled, there's trough rollers. So there's a variety of
Yeah.
different means to get those high rises to where the coating is done without disturbance of business in the building,
That's
but
that
and
too.
effectiveness of the equipment
Yeah.
and the coating itself. So there's
That's a lot. I mean, you're saving the client, you're saving the property owner, organization, what have you, tons of time and money. I mean, the loss of business alone on some of these is astronomical, and
yeah.
it's not feasible for these property owners to lose
Well,
any business
here's a prime example. I was
at all.
looking at a dealership.
Are you in the business to lose money?
Hell no.
No one is.
Let's make the money.
No
That's where we're
shit.
at.
Like,
And I want to help everybody to make money. And I like the dealership. They have a large stock of inventory inside this facility. And I was talking with the GM of this property the other day, and in the discussion, it was like, look, here are your options. You can do a full replacement and tear all the metal off. But if you go to do that, you're going to have to shut down business across the board for X number of days. It could be 7 to 14 days, maybe less, maybe more, but it doesn't matter the number of days. The fact that you are having to close your doors on your business because people can't be underneath in the facility. Whereas if you do a liquid applied on it, we're not stopping nothing.
I mean, I would gander to say that the money that they spend on the insulation
Sure.
for the metal roof
Oh yeah.
would equal close to what the coating would be.
Oh, at least just the
Just the
insulation.
insulation.
Yes.
The insulation is absolutely okay. So why are we saying this? Right? There's a huge reason. This is a very educational podcast. We want you to understand that it is not just a re-roof option industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of people look at the industry
This is
as
the only option I have.
we have to replace, period. And I think that has a lot to do with the way that we're trained.
Sure.
I did it for a long time. Sorry, I can't do repair. I have to replace it. And if there's a repair, I just walk away from it because we don't do repairs. We just do replacements, right? And that stigma is just a broken. It's a broken freaking record, and it is not going to serve you any purpose at all. If you can if you could solve the problem in a different way that could help that property owner, that's where we're looking for.
Well, and I think also these contractors aren't looking at it on the profitability of it either. Once they
What we're
start
looking
here,
for. I said where we're looking for. What we're looking for. Sorry.
what we're working. Yeah, there you go. So these contractors are going into it thinking, oh, well, there's not going to be enough margin in a coating for me to be able to do that. And that's where I have positioned myself with a lot of these contractors that I've worked with is explaining to them the benefits of it. Look,
The margins are better.
they're huge. They're
It's
huge.
like let's do this comparison. Solar and roofing.
Mhm.
I would consider the profit margin not necessarily as lucrative as solar
Mhm.
than regular roofing, right? But it is pretty damn close. Most of the
Sure.
time, solar is 5 times more than what a regular roofer would make on that job.
Mhm.
And when you're compounding both of them together, you're selling both. You're fucking printing money, baby.
Yeah.
So if you do a fluid applied instead of a re-roof, your profit margin is going to be a lot better, a lot less BS to deal with.
Exponentially better.
Absolutely, man. Like whenever I look at these, I find that it's almost like if you know, you know. And for a long time, it was only if you knew, and you would be able to make that money.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming largely popular and taught. Um, we actually just had a training class. It was an exclusive training class. We'll be opening up a training class pretty soon for tropical roofing products. And we'll probably get a couple others as well. That way, we keep it diverse and we can see like what everybody thinks. What because everybody's spec analysis, everyone's way of doing things is different. Certain TEEDs and TRP products are completely different. The way
Mhm.
that you install is pretty close, but it is completely different. You
Mhm.
have to jump through a lot more hoops with TRP. But I feel like that's why TRP wins a lot of deals.
I mean, they
Gallery furniture.
there you go.
I mean, gallery furniture was up against a bunch of options. And who did they pick? TRP, baby. I don't like I can't stress it enough. Like there is a reason why, you know, TRP goes over and above on their inspections. And when they come to meet with the property owner, every time, not just once, every time. Oh, that's twice.
Like, was it you or me?
That was me. It's every time. Um, I just
Well, and to speak on TRP in general, that comes back to the internal support, not just from the local rep,
yeah.
but also from the company across the board, whether it's Don Freetag, huge shout out to Don because he is their technical advisor for in the field. When there is a material and labor warranty going out. Don comes to that job and specifically investigates the entire job and says, "This is what the specific code or
Every
scope
time
has to
they're
be."
they're 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 leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
It's there's no question about it.
yeah,
The property owner is left with their jaw on the ground,
hmm,
and I can't like I didn't sell tropical for a long time,
yeah,
and I competed against tropical,
yeah,
and I lost. I lost a lot.
yeah,
I lost more than I won, and I won some, but I didn't win like tropical was winning. And that, a lot of contractors know this, and they feel that tropical is for for the people that know someone there.
yeah,
And I'm just going to say that if you're in the Houston marketplace and you want to sell tropical, you hit up RSI and we got you. And we'll make it happen. We'll get you trained. We'll make sure that you're taken care of. But if you're looking for a subcontractor, we got one right here, right? Trained by TRP,
very well versed.
right?
And it's not just TRP that I've got a background in. I've had my hand in so many different materials that I like to joke that I can almost put my hands in material behind me and tell you who's who. I've
Wow.
done GAF, Tropical, Everest, IB. I mean, the list goes on and
Some of them
on.
are close to each other.
They are very close
Yeah.
to them.
I won't say who.
I'm excited about seeing some of these newer companies that have come into the scene that have a lot of financial support behind them and see in what direction they go from here.
Oh, yeah.
Once they have a little bit more longevity. That's the one thing that I lean on a lot with TRP products is they've got 60 years
Yeah.
of industry experience and trial and testing on all of their products. So they know what works and they're still continuously coming out with new products
I feel
that
like the one closest to that is like Carlisle.
Carlisle's pretty close. I would say Everest is probably another one
Yeah.
too. GAF is making leaps and bounds into the industry. They are newer on the scene. But fortunately for GAF, they do have a great financial backing behind them. They are a
Oh, yeah.
worldwide company, so they're able to put money into their products
Yeah.
and develop their products in an exponentially faster way than a lot of these other companies that are smaller coming into the scene haven't been able to do yet.
And they be big boy training too.
Exactly.
GAF be training
Exactly.
hard.
They're pushing their trainings. We see a couple new
I see
reps.
them in our warehouse all the
That's
time.
awesome.
Not GAF commercial, but GAF just
Just in
period.
general, yeah.
They're here all the time. They may
Yeah.
be training on this or that. Like they've done a few different ones, and
Yeah.
not just with one individual person. Like they're set up with all different kinds of people, all different backgrounds. Some people that don't buy from us that are here because they want the training and the learning. Obviously, we'd love for them to buy from us,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they will in the in very near future. Um, but the education is so important, and I think that GAF really does understand that. Whereas some of the other ones, and I'm not going to call you out, but I'm just saying you could get better, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what we want to see is we want to see the industry get better, and that's it.
For you guys as distribution and talking with contractors in general, what are you guys hearing as door stoppers, if you will, that they're I'm not interested in this? And what are some of the problems that they're having at the end of the day in regards to a liquid applied?
So I don't deal with a lot of liquid applied.
Okay.
Not, I mean, I don't have a lot of clients that deal with liquid applied. So um, when there is like there, I can on one hand, I can tell you how many people that actually mess with liquid applied,
Okay.
and out of those, there's only one that knows what he's doing, and he's a sales rep, and he's not versed like you are, so he he should probably get to know you,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna plug you in with that guy.
Please. Yeah.
Um, out of the rest of the guys, I haven't really heard much, right?
So
So I don't know.
what
I
I'm
couldn't even
hearing in
speak
the
on it.
what I'm hearing in the market from different contractors is I get asked the same question all the time. Is it a material problem or is it an install problem? 9 times out of 10, from what I've seen, it is not a material problem. It's not about
Install.
the material, it's about the install. And installers that haven't been trained, trying to cut corners, trying to get off the job faster, maybe trying to keep material for themselves to put into the secondhand market to resell. There's a variety of different things that are
A lot of
happening.
that goes on in Houston.
But the biggest problem at the end of the day is that the install was not performed correctly.
Yeah.
And whatever that means, whether it means not meeting the scope of the manufacturer at the end of the day, or they're just lazy, or they just flat out don't know how to do a proper install. They're like, this material is like paint. If the roof is white, the roof is sealed.
I did that
That's not correct.
once. I did that once on a patio. It was like 2.5 squares, and I coated that thing like 10 times. I put
Just put a ton of material
3 or
down.
4 course, dude. I poured a 5-gallon bucket out on the top of this 2 square thing, and I screwed up. I put, freaking silicone on top of acrylic or no, acrylic on top of silicone,
Yep, that
right?
won't work.
And, dude, I did not know how to do it
Yeah.
until I became a student of the craft,
Yep.
right? And I had to eat it.
Yep.
I had to eat that. I had to redo that.
Yep.
Um,
Well, and to speak on that, there's a lot of guys that are doing installs in Houston that have the impression that acrylic can go down on any surface. And can it go down? Sure. But you never want to put an acrylic on a zero slope, especially in Houston, because every roof that we have that's zero slope has some sort of small ponding, just about. I wouldn't say 100% of them, but I'd say at least over 90
a lot of these
have.
contractors are not doing moisture maps.
Sure.
They're just getting up there and they're
Mm-hmm.
rolling this stuff and or spraying it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do the proper research on the property.
They're not taking core samples. They're not
Core
getting somebody with a
samples.
FLIR.
I mean, it it is rampant, and the
Mm-hmm.
FLIR is one of the big ones. Like, if you are a commercial coating contractor, you have to have that device. There's no ifs, ands, or buts
Well,
about it.
and if you're going up on the roof, you got to know what you're talking about. And at the end of the day, I know that I can go walk a roof and tell whether or not I need to get a FLIR out, because I've walked enough roofs now that I can feel where the soft spots are. And more times than not, if there's a soft spot on a roof, there's probably trapped moisture underneath that roof.
Man,
So,
I've been to a roof that I got on, I don't have as much as experience with the restorations there, because I used to do torch down TPU and
mhm,
EPDM, mostly Duralast.
mhm,
Duralast was our thing. Um, and I mean, I've been up there and got the FLIR out, and like from the wall, and that wall took in water, and then it's up underneath the roof now.
mhm.
And I would have never seen that. I may have been able to feel it, but I would have never seen that if I wouldn't have brought out that FLIR. I
Yep.
think it's really important that we be a study of our craft, that we get out and we do it to our full potential, not just go out there and screw around.
Well, and not even just to that point, is to also lean on the people that know what they're talking about, whether it be somebody through distribution, whether it's a material manufacturing rep, or whether it's a contractor or subcontractor that's very well versed in that market, and get the education. So when you're up there looking at it, you actually can speak intelligently and be educated on what you're talking about. Whereas some of these guys that are, I hate to say fly by nighters, but
Yeah.
or chuck in a truck or whatever, they're just like, yeah, I got you, no worries, and go about their business, and then end up. That's the problem that we're seeing with coatings, is that we've got a lot of guys that are out there doing that, and they're doing these subpar installs, and then that just translates to a bad name in the industry, to where
Or
contractors.
shinglers, man. Like, it's
Same
just like
thing.
stay in your lane,
Yeah.
right? Be a master of your craft. And
Yes. Yes.
if you don't master that craft, and we were talking about this last night, then let someone else refer someone else that is good
Yes.
at that craft,
Yes.
do that job and get that thing
Yes.
taken care of. But man, we are getting to the end of our broadcast here. It goes really quick.
Oh, it does.
It's absolutely insane how quick it goes. But I am blessed to have had an amazing broadcast today. We had Nathan Schuh
Yep.
from
Coating pros.
Coating Pros. I wanted to say Roof Coating Pros.
Nope, just the coating pros.
Just Coating Pros. There's the outro music. I was trying to figure out why it wasn't going on. We are sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated in the Houston marketplace, where you can get your shingles from me. Telephone number is 210-919-8987. Now, also, if you're looking for an awesome public adjuster, West Group Public Adjusters is the way for you. I'm actually about to leave here and go to a loss with West Group and with another larger roofing company. Really excited because West Group goes the extra mile. I want to take care of you and your client. I want to make sure that they are 100% taken care of. We're also sponsored by RepCard, an amazing business card that you can employ in your everyday to day. You don't just have to be a roofer. You can be anybody and have a rep card. Guys, hit me up, 210-919-8987 if you're interested in any of those three. Again, we had an amazing, awesome live broadcast in the Roofing on the Rise studio. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.